Deep within the marshy cradle of Enthul, a young male of the species Trollus primordialis begins his life journey. His name is Gunch. Newly emerged from the spawning waters, Gunch takes stock of his surroundings. Among his possessions, a primitive cutting implement, a crude backpack, and a curious parchment. Unreadable to him, but of deep cultural significance. Possibly. Directionless but determined, Gunch consults the only available guidance, a map of staggering complexity. Lacking both language skills and patience, he is nevertheless drawn by instinct, or perhaps noise. Grobb, a settlement that defies easy classification. Is it a cave, a hollow tree, a fungus? Its architecture suggests centuries of stubborn adaptation to swamp life, or possibly a lack of planning. One dominant force seems to be the Bashers, warriors of unknown rank or role, though their names suggest both occupation and aspiration. Whether Gunch might one day join their ranks remains uncertain. He has yet to bash anything successfully. Within Grobb, there are figures of potential authority, stationary, silent, yet radiating an air of transaction. But where are the teachers, the merchants, the elders who might guide a young troll's first steps into the wilds of Norath? And beyond these twisted, oozing borders, what lies in wait? Who can be hunted? What creatures roam the periphery, waiting to be challenged or consumed? One suspects that Grobb, for all its muck and mystery, may not hold the answers Gunch seeks, but it will certainly shape his questions. He finds a member of a more advanced subspecies, Dark Elphus Vague-Questgiverus, and she offers a new task. She speaks of a place called the Spires of an Aruk. Gunch accepts, possibly out of curiosity, possibly because it was shiny. But there is a problem. The note, though weighty with importance, remains indecipherable. Gunch cannot read. This will not stop him. Moments later, Gunch discovers that his original objective, Gardunk, has been standing within arm's reach the entire time. Such oversights are common in this species. The sacred parchment is delivered. The ritual is complete. Gunch receives no praise, no guidance, but something deep within him shifts. Perhaps it is growth. Perhaps it is indigestion. In response to his delivery, Gunch gains standing with two mysterious and unseen factions, the Dark Ones and the Shadow Knights of Nightkeep. He does not know who they are, and he never will. Though little in Grobb appears structured, a curious network of allegiances lie just beneath the surface. The act of delivering a single note has subtly shifted Gunch's standing among the local powers, though he is, of course, unaware of this. More shadowed still are the Dark Ones, a faction whose name evokes power, secrecy, and perhaps fashion choices. They appear pleased by Gunch's obedience. Whether this is an opportunity or a trap is unclear. Closely aligned with the Dark Ones are the Shadow Knights of Nightkeep. These beings, though similarly appreciative of Gunch's actions, remain aloof. Are they local or foreign? And finally, not all were impressed. The Froglocks of Guck, a species known for their amphibious nature and questionable hygiene, responded negatively. Gunch has made enemies, possibly delicious ones. One wonders, will Gunch rise among these factions, or stumble blindly through their rivalries, guided only by hunger and superstition? His elder, Gardunk, suggests the next step in Gunch's evolution. Speak with a troll called Garg. But Gunch, bound by trollish pride, refuses to ask where he can find Garg. Instead, Gunch performs a contemplative ritual, sitting motionless while inspecting a map he cannot read. This continues for several minutes. In a moment of divine insight, Gunch discovers he possesses a spellbook. but unfortunately it contains no spells, much like his mind. He continues his pilgrimage through the village of Grobb. Other trolls are present, but nonverbal, perhaps asleep, perhaps afraid. They sell leaves. Gunch is confused. Frustrated and directionless, Gunch lashes out at local wildlife. He selects a close-by foe, a jungle hatchling. The battle is slow and brutal, but Gunch prevails. Flush with his victory, Gunch believes himself the apex predator in Grobb. He selects his next target, a much larger insect, a domesticated bleeder. Unbeknownst to Gunch, this creature is not wild. It is the bonded servant of a Grobb enforcer, and the retribution is swift. Gunch is destroyed. His body is cast from the village, like unwanted fish bones. Banished and broken, Gunch begins to reflect. Perhaps the froglocks are not the only danger in these swamps. Expelled from the safety of Grobb, Gunch finds himself in the wilds beyond. He is not ashamed. In fact, he believes this was part of his master plan. In his mind, the Bashers, Grobb's elite guards, have helped him begin his hunt. Destiny, he reasons, is unfolding. He encounters other trolls in the wild. They seem passive, listless, not worth his dominance, so he moves on. He discovers a curious fungal growth. He does not understand its properties, but he takes it anyway. He is hopeful he can eat it, or he can throw it. Next, a swamp alligator. Again, uncertainty creeps in. Gunch hesitates. He does not trust the look in its eyes. So instead, he targets a lesser kobold, a filthy, yipping thing that looks weak and unwelcome. He is immediately overpowered. Saved by the Bashers once more, Gunch takes this as a sign of greatness. He is not prey, he is a predator. And to prove it, he slaughters a small rat. The victory is hard won. The trophy, its foot, gory and delicious. High on his bloodlust and perceived superiority, he enters a berserk-like state. He attacks rats with wild abandon. What he interprets as his own skill is, in truth, desperation. He collapses repeatedly, but thanks to the regenerative properties of Trollus primordialis, he does not die. Yet. But eventually unconsciousness claims him. He awakens beside the communal fire, confident that his prey have fled him. He, of course, would have won the fight if it continued. But what exactly stalks the mists of Enthul? What creatures share this decaying paradise with our Gunch? The towering fungus man, a walking fungus of unknown intelligence. It does not attack, it does not speak, it simply is. Whether it spreads its spores through violence, osmosis, or unsettling conversation remains mystery. Gunch wisely keeps his distance from these men. There are various swamp snakes, by contrast, that are easily bullied by Gunch. They offer minimal resistance and even less nutritional value. Gunch regards them as training tools, or perhaps chew toys. Kobolds, small, yipping creatures of questionable hygiene and even more questionable tactics. Though individually unimpressive, they often travel in packs, operating on the basic principle of overwhelm and flail wildly. Gunch suspects he could defeat one, possibly two. More than that, and he flees. Next, he attempts to swim in the local waters. His large frame and poor coordination betray him, but still he enjoys the sensation of the filthy water against his leathery hide. He discovers a kobold encampment, and for the first time, strategy occurs to his small brain. He walks away. He has learned something, possibly. But alas, soon after, he again unleashes violence upon smaller creatures. 4 snakes are obliterated in quick succession. Gunch has found his ideal prey, the defenseless. Then a miracle. a fellow troll swims through the air. Gunch watches in awe. Is this the future of his species? But no, he is not ready. He returns to what he knows, which is violence. Eventually, Gunch makes another mistake. He flees once more to his stronger kin, licking his wounds and learning, slowly. Battered but unbroken, Gunch lumbers back to Grobb. He carries the fruits of his conquest, mostly mangled animal parts, sticky with swamp water. He trades them for a few coins, but barely enough to buy dignity. Gunch considers his future. Should he trade them for clothing? No. Shelter? Food? He dreams of something sharper, something capable of more violence. He then remembers his duty in Grobb, to find Gardunk's ally, Garg. Once more, his map confuses him. He snarls, punches a nearby hatchling, and resumes the search. He stumbles into the rear of a local Grobb drinking hall. It smells of moss, mushrooms, and poor decisions. The other trolls ignore him. They are either drunk or uninterested in aiding a confused wanderer with a rat foot in his backpack. And in his attempts to retrace his steps, disaster strikes. Our Gunch stumbles into a shallow moat, a cruel, wet ditch between him and his dignity. His limbs thrash uselessly. His large hands slap against the mossy stone. The water, though shallow, might as well be the deepest sea. He turns, silently pleading for help from a nearby basher, a fellow troll, a potential savior. The basher offers no assistance, only contempt. This is the low tide of Gunch's journey, literally. Trapped in 3 feet of dirty water, weighed down by stubborn pride. Will he escape this trap of his own making? Will he find Garg? Or will he drown, not from water, but from shame? Tune in next time as Gunch continues his exploration of Grobb's dark underbelly, beginning with his own. So, real talk for a moment. This is my first time really diving into EverQuest. I missed it back when it was released, back in like 2000 or something. But I was always fascinated by the world, the stories, and the sheer difference, novelty of it all. That curiosity is what sparked this whole series. So through Gunch, I'm exploring the game like an outsider, a stranger poking at systems I don't yet understand. And honestly, that's kind of the point. This is me asking questions through a very confused troll. So if you're watching and you're one of those many people out there who do know this game inside and out, whether you've got lore knowledge, hidden quests, gameplay advice, bizarre anecdotes, I'd love to hear from you. During this episode, a few questions came up that I'd love to get your insight on. I'd like to hear about Grobb and some of the factions and people I've seen or failed to see, like Dark Ones, people like Garg, the Shadow Knights of Night Keep. Both from a lore perspective to a practical, what do these people factions do for a player mechanically? The larger area, tell me more about that. Enthul Swamp. Finding lore information for this game is really difficult. What are some good quests for a newly spawned troll beastmaster? And do quests not always enter into the quest log? Is this a developer oversight? Tell me about some of these mobs within Enthul Swamp. What are they doing here? The fungus men and the kobolds and things. And finally, what should Gunch's short-term goal be? Where should he go to learn more? Drop a comment and help me figure out what I've gotten right, what I've missed, what Gunch should stumble into next. Most Let's Plays I've found are either super outdated or made by people so advanced at this game I feel like I need a translator. So maybe this series can be something different. A slow, curious, slightly tragic look at EverQuest from the mud upward. And last, quick reminder, I'm coming into EverQuest as a brand new player. I'm not rushing to the top or trying to beat the game. I'm not chasing levels. I'm chasing experiences. So if you've got one about this world, I'd love to hear it. I'm here to explore, to learn, and get lost in the world a bit. Gunch might want to conquer Norath, but I think I'd rather understand it. Keep that in mind in your responses. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll stick around as Gunch continues to evolve, or at least survive.